Everyone knows that The Simpsons has a reputation for predicting the future, but it might not be the only cartoon that's been doing that. Because if you go back through old episodes of Family Guy, you start noticing some very strange coincidences. Like the time Peter Griffin casually suggested Bitcoin as a financial plan, years before crypto turned the internet into a financial casino. And that other time the show turned World War III into a 5-second joke, only for real headlines years later to start looking eerily similar. So today, we're looking at the moments where Family Guy accidentally predicted the future. Some are weird enough that they almost feel like the writers had a crystal ball in the room. Number 10. California Burns. Family Guy takes place in Rhode Island, but for some reason, the writers have always loved making jokes about California burning down. Peter and Chris start fires in cutaways. Characters casually mention California burning as if wildfires are just part of the state's personality, like snow in New England. For years, it was just a punchline. By January 2025, it wasn't a joke anymore. The Palisades Fire and Eaton Fire tore through Los Angeles, destroying over 16,000 buildings and killing 29 people. Entire neighborhoods vanished in hours. Even James Woods, who voiced himself on the show for years, lost his home to the same type of disaster the show had joked about for decades. For 2 decades, Family Guy treated California wildfires like background noise. In 2025, the punchline became the worst natural disaster in Los Angeles history. But the fires were just the warm-up. Number 9. Short Wars, Fast Chaos. Family Guy often treats international conflict like a quick joke. Wars start, blow up, and end before you even realize it. In 2021, Brian and Stewie end up in a post-apocalyptic world. The reason? World War III. In 2025, real war started moving at cartoon speed. Iran and Israel clashed and backed off in 12 days. India and Pakistan flirted with disaster. Gaza ceasefires collapsed repeatedly. Ukrainian drone strikes hit Russian infrastructure like a fast-forwarded video game. Family Guy made World War III a 5-second joke. In 2025, that joke had a body count. But the fastest-moving disaster in 2025 wasn't a war. Number 8. AI takes over everything. Stewie builds killer robots before breakfast. Brian experiments with tech that has no business existing. Peter stumbles into inventions that immediately try to destroy him. The show has been running technology replaces humans and everything goes wrong as a bit since the early 2000s, and the AI jokes that came later only got more specific. Then Peter does something that should have been the warning sign. He jokes, on screen, that AI wrote part of the scene he's currently in. In 2025, that wasn't a joke anymore. Entire job categories, creative, service, data, shrunk or vanished. Protests erupted over AI-driven displacement. Algorithms were making real-world decisions in government, elections, healthcare, and education. Family Guy had been treating robot chaos as a punchline for years. In 2025, that punchline became the economy itself. And while robots were stealing jobs, one man was busy stealing the whole political playbook. Again. Number 7. Trump comes back, tariffs and all. Family Guy and Donald Trump go way back. Since around season 15, the show has run Trump cutaways, Peter as Trump gags, and jokes about walls, tariffs, trade wars, and the chaos of a Trump-shaped world. The writers didn't try to be subtle. They leaned in hard, making every joke hit with full force. Even after 2020, when Trump was out of office, the show kept running the bits, almost like they knew something the rest of the country was still arguing over. By January 20th, 2025, Trump began his second term, immediately announcing massive tariffs that shook global trade. Markets swung, allies complained, and headlines were dominated by economic fallout. Family Guy had been joking about his second Trump term for years. There were quick scenes about tariffs, trade wars, and Peter freaking out over the economy. Then it actually happened, and the jokes didn't feel funny anymore. They felt like real predictions of a messy presidency. That one was predictable. This next one wasn't supposed to be possible. Number 6. Dark jokes that came true. This one's harder to laugh at. In 2015, Peter works at a high-security prison guard in a cutaway, making jokes about mysterious deaths, shadowy connections, and powerful people whose secrets stay buried. The joke even references Jeffrey Epstein, shocking, twisted, and classic Family Guy humor. At the time, it was dark absurdist humor. Classic Family Guy. Go somewhere uncomfortable, get the laugh, move on. By 2025, reality started looking strangely similar. Large government files were released, showing secrets about important people. The show didn't predict the specific events. It predicted that those events existed, hidden, connected, and darker than anyone officially admitted. That's not a coincidence. That's the writers paying very close attention. From government secrets to personal ones. Family Guy called your bank account too. Number 5. The Financial Roller Coaster. Peter Griffin has destroyed his finances in basically every way a man legally can. Bad investments, failed businesses, lottery meltdowns, debt spirals. But the show was never just making him broke for laughs. Back in 2016, Lois sits Peter down. Savings are disappearing. They need a plan. Peter's solution? Bitcoin. In 2009, he wins the lottery and cashes everything out in one lump sum. Refuses to touch a bank because he's convinced they'll lure his money away. They lose it all anyway. Second lottery attempt. Broke on the side of the road. Funny in 2009. Uncomfortable in 2025. Bitcoin swung from 108K to a 40% crash inside 3 months. Stock markets climbed 1 week, collapsed the next. Credit card debt hit record highs. Utilities went full supervillain. The average American was one missed paycheck away from Peter's exact situation, except Peter's had a laugh track. The show spent 20 years telling you the economy was a joke. Turns out the joke was always on us. Peter panicked about the bills, and so did an entire generation. Number 4. Gen Z takes the streets. Family Guy has been clowning on young activists since before Gen Z could legally vote. In 2017, Brian watches a campus protest explode over a professor's comment and bathroom policy. One misread statement, and the whole university shuts down. Brian accidentally makes a racial joke, and a crowd materializes outside the Griffin house within minutes. Meg leaves for college hoping for freedom, and Peter follows her around like a human parental advisory warning. The show treated youth outrage as a punchline. It wasn't. By 2025, Gen Z-led protests were shutting down campuses and city centers nationwide. Mass deportations, AI job losses, federal funding cuts gutting student programs. The generation the internet spent a decade calling too sensitive and too online became the loudest political force in the country. Family Guy wrote them off as a joke, and they became news. The protests were loud, but what came next was quieter, and somehow worse. Number 3. Bill-paying panic. In 2023, Peter Griffin, a grown adult man, calls his wealthy father-in-law Carter Pewterschmidt, breaks down crying, and begs him to cover the mortgage and bills. It works, so naturally, Peter does it again, and again, and again. His entire financial strategy becomes panic, call someone richer, pray it magically resolves. The bit was absurd, until it wasn't. By 2025, inflation wasn't slowing down. Utilities were hitting numbers that made people audibly gasp. And paycheck to paycheck stopped being a statistic and started being a personality trait. People weren't calling their father-in-law. They were maxing out credit cards, skipping prescriptions, and stress Googling, "Is this normal?" at 2 a.m. Then New Year's arrived, and it brought fireworks nobody ordered. Number 2. New Year's Day Terror. The Boom is one of Family Guy's most iconic episodes. The premise? Missiles light up the sky on New Year's Eve. Civilization ends, and Peter watches from the backyard thinking the explosions look kinda cool. It's one of the most iconic moments. Missiles on December 31st. The new year arriving in fire and chaos. Peter treating catastrophe like a minor inconvenience. On January 1st, 2025, a deadly attack struck New Orleans, killing 14 and injuring dozens. Missile tests from multiple countries dominate the first week of headlines. The new year announced itself in fire and tragedy. Exactly the energy Family Guy had been animating for decades. The show played it for laughs. Reality didn't. Missiles on New Year's was bad, but Family Guy didn't stop there. They predicted how the whole year would feel. Number 1. America ends in 2025. After the 2020 election, a Family Guy cutaway went viral. A calendar flips to 2025 with apocalyptic images everywhere. The United States, game over. News tickers and meltdown. Civilization feels like it's at the edge. At the time, people laughed. It was terrifying, but funny. A dark joke for the mood of 2020. Then 2025 arrived. Trump's second inauguration sparked mass deportations, federal shakeups, and headlines warning of America's end. Whether good or bad, the year felt like a hinge point. A dark joke from years before suddenly felt like prophecy. The show had nailed the look, the chaos, and the sense that everything could collapse in a single moment. 10 predictions, 10 moments where a show airing since 1999 seemed to forecast 2025 with uncanny accuracy. The sense that 2025 changed everything at once? Family Guy got all of it. Were the writers just paying attention, following patterns, or does Seth MacFarlane secretly have a time machine? We don't know, but 10 for 10 is hard to ignore. If you want more deep dives like this, smash that subscribe button, because we've got plenty more Family Guy secrets to uncover.